Welcome back, Sethling here. Mojang just released the 12w42a snapshot, and this one has a big change to Redstone. It's actually a little bit of an addition, and it's called Redstone Locking. So if I flip this lever over on the right, you'll notice this repeater over here gets a little bedrock bar through it when this repeater is powered on. It's called a Redstone Lock. So normally, you flip on the lever, flip off the lever, the redstone behaves normally. When the lock is on, you can't change the output of this repeater. So I flip the lever, it doesn't do anything. I can turn the lock off. I can flip it back on here. So now the output's on, and when I put the lock back on here, flipping this lever won't do anything still, but it's locked in a different state. So this has a lot of applications, and I wanted to go over some of them in this video. Let's punch down here. And it's worth noting that for now it takes a repeater going into another repeater in order to get this effect, and that really shouldn't interfere with existing redstone contraptions, because this isn't really configuration you see very often. But they may be changing that in the future so that any redstone dust going into the thing could do it. But I don't know, we'll have to just wait and see what happens. Okay, so here's some devices that take advantage of this. So if I put some redstone output here, this is a latch, an RS latch, so RS NOR latch in particular. So if I hit the left one here, it'll turn the output on and it'll keep it on. If I hit the right one, it'll turn it off and keep it off. And basically what it does is when you press either button, it turns off the lock right here, because you have a repeater pointing at another repeater. It turns off the lock, and so when you push this one, it just turns off the lock, allows the repeater to turn off. When you push the left one here, it turns off the lock for just long enough, it turns off the lock and receives power from that input so that it keeps that repeater locked in the on state. So this is kind of a different design for a latch. It's a little bit slow, but doesn't have as many torches as a normal latch, so I don't know. This right here is a T flip-flop. This only really works with a button, so you'll notice all of this stuff here toggles every time that I push this button. And this is, so it relies on that input to be a button, have the duration of a button. But basically what's going on here is this is a little clock. Right, this is a normal redstone clock. If we didn't have the lock here, in fact, I'll just take it out, you'll see it turns on and off on its own. Basically, we're just turning off this lock for just long enough for the clock to get through half of a cycle, so it toggles its state. Pretty simple. This right here is just a demonstration to show if you can get like a little feedback loop like this. So this repeater is powered on. That powered on this repeater, which locks this repeater. So now even if I get rid of this button and block and whatever, these repeaters are going to stay on in this state forever. And I'll have to actually break some redstone dust to get rid of that. Okay, so there's some interesting stuff that goes on with this, and let me just show you what I mean. So if I flip this lever here, basically, all four of these repeaters are pointing at each other. So if they were all on, they would all lock each other, and they would all have to stay on. That's not exactly what happens. When I flip on this lever, this repeater is on and this one's on, and these two get locked. So they can't turn on even though they have redstone at their input. So, I mean, that sort of makes sense, right? Like, this one turns on, that locks this one, and then when it tries to turn on, it can't. The thing that's a little bit confusing to some people might be that when you flip a different lever, now you'll notice that 3 of these repeaters are on, and it's just different repeaters. So yeah, when you flip different levers, it's going to do kind of different things. You get 3 different ones here, and that's just because it depends on in what order the redstone gets updated. This one, maybe like this one turns on first, and then this one turns on, and then this one turns on. This one's locked, so it can't turn on. That's what happened here. It's just they get updated in different orders when you flip the different levers, and it appears to be a little bit random. I've done other videos on this a long time ago, but I don't know. I told Mojang about this and how confusing it might be to some users. Seems like they may be willing to actually, put in a partial fix that makes it more consistent. We'll see if that happens, but I would be expecting some changes around this potentially. Here's some other designs I have for some circuitry. So this is a monostable circuit. When I push the button, I get a pulse on this piston. It's 1 tick, so the piston leaves the block in midair because it's a 1 tick pulse. And this is based on timing. Basically, you get the when the torch turns off, it turns off this repeater after 2 ticks, which unlocks this repeater, which is just a 1 tick repeater. So after 2 ticks, it allows that signal to go through from the input, but then after 3 ticks, this is no longer powered anymore. So this thing only has power for 1 tick. So that's how that works. Here's the same sort of thing, except without the torch at the beginning. So this is a falling edge detector. So when I turn it on, it doesn't do anything. When I turn it off, it gets that 1 tick pulse. This is a really cool design. It's smaller than we've ever had it before, and just it's kind of cool. It doesn't even use any blocks or anything. Very, very compact. But it's not really much more compact. It's just a little bit. Here's something pretty cool. So basically, we have a bunch of these repeaters, and they are locking these 4-tick repeaters that are in a series. This is a buffer. So when I push this button, you'll notice all the locks go away for like 4 or 5 ticks. And then they come back, because this is just a little monostable circuit that creates a 5-tick pulse. Or pulses off for 5 ticks. Okay, so when I flick this lever down, and I turn off the locks for 5 ticks, then the signal gets into this repeater. Then when I flick the lever back up, we can see that that signal will slowly move across each of these repeaters as I press this button. This is kind of a neat concept. It's called a buffer. So then I can, here's another example, although this has some kind of, I don't know if it's buggy behavior, but it's some unexpected behavior if you're not looking for it. So we've got that one right there. Here's another one. And then I'll turn this off. So we have on, off, on. When I push the button again, though, just because of the way that Redstone is updated, it appears kind of random, but we get 3 in a row that are on, and that wasn't there before. It's kind of weird because this one gets along just fine. We saw just the single repeater moving along, single powered repeater moving along. I'm not actually really sure what causes the middle one to turn on there, but it's just how it works. If I keep pushing this button, we're going to get this group of 3 to keep moving down the line. It'll move just fine. It seems to be just when there's 2 powered ones surrounding an unpowered one that this happens. But this is more of a word of caution to look out for stuff like this. When you're trying to build circuits like this, don't just build it and observe what happens, because it might behave differently in different positions. If I moved this whole contraption over by a block or 2, it would actually behave a little bit differently. The gap might get filled in at different intervals. So there's still certainly some things to watch out for this. I wouldn't be surprised to seeing it change over the coming updates and in 1.4, but I do think it is a good feature. Whoa, getting a bunch of lag now. What's up with that? I do think it's a good feature. It doesn't interfere with any existing features, doesn't break anything, and it does allow for some more compact types of circuits. I think it's more useful for potentially for people doing like digital logic, people who want lots of bits of memory stored in Redstone, but there's also some applications even for people who use sort of more common, lighter weight Redstone features. But definitely try and play around with it for yourself. It's the 12w42a snapshots. It's pretty cool, and thanks for watching.